Firstly, let me start by welcoming you all along. That's crap. So let's start again. People like Southgate. Someone like Sarah. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the latest episode of the My Coach Ben podcast. Firstly, I'd like to thank you very much for stopping by. Your time, your attention is greatly appreciated, and of course, your discerning choice in podcasts. Thank you very much for that, and I'd like to, of course, as usual, extend a warm welcome to the new subscribers and followers, etc. On the various social media channels. So welcome aboard to, I was going to say the House of Fun, but that doesn't really fit. Anyway, welcome aboard, and I hope you're going to continue to find the content to your liking and of considerable use. I want to start by mentioning that July is the International Minority Mental Health Month, and this is where particular attention is given to the mental health of people of various minorities. So this could be people that have got disabilities. It could also be whether you're from one of the a diverse background, for example. If you're from any background that isn't that of the country that you're in. So yes, that's a Minority Mental Health Month. So let's try and observe that, and there will be various things going on throughout the month, and I will of course give that a mention as we move through July. As always, like, subscribe, press the notification bell, tell your friends, your fam, and let's continue to grow this project. I will start by saying that it's very early in the morning. The date is the 6th of July, Monday the 6th of July. It's very early in the morning. And I have to say I haven't had much sleep because I've been watching England defeat Mexico on their home turf in the FIFA World Cup. So it's a very good performance. Congratulations to the boys. Very stout defending from England, I have to say. Yes, backs against the wall stuff. So really good. Bit unfortunate with the red card for Joel Krancer, but yes, what can you say? Other than I'm very tired. The game was delayed by an hour, and it was already supposed to start at 2. But anyway, I will not digress and turn this into a football podcast because that's not what it is. Let's move on with the next letter in the A to Z of career development. So in the last episode, we looked at knowledge. And in this week, we will be taking the letter L. And this is a juicy topic. The letter L in this episode will be that of leadership. So, leadership. As always, let's start with a definition. And if we go to the Oxford English Dictionary or my notes, one of the two, then we will see that the word leadership is defined as the action of leading a group of people or an organisation. So it's something that one does, and the example is the different styles of leadership. And there is also a definition, the state or position of being a leader, and it gives the example, the party prospered under his leadership. Yes, you can make many things out of that one, given what's happened in UK politics recently. So there we are, that's the definition of leadership. And what can we take from that? Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is action. So it mentions there the action of leading a group of people or organisation. Action as a leader, and I think this counts whether you're a leader of people, insofar as being a team, a company, an organisation, but also for yourself as well. I think we're leaders of our own destiny, and it's worth pointing that out and making sure that we don't forget that, because we all have our own individual leadership role. So I think action is one which is, I think many people that are watching this podcast will find this probably a little bit controversial, but in order to be a leader, you need to act. A leader is one who is expected to take action, or at least be able to clearly define and be accountable, which I'll come on to later, for actions that are being taken. So this is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about leadership and we look at this definition. So the state or position, essentially, it's important to make this distinction, because there is the leadership in terms of the action, but there is also the person behind that. And I think this is, I would say this is what is referred to in terms of state or position of being a leader. And it's something that I'm going to come on to fairly shortly. I want to keep this quite brief today, actually, because I'm quite tired, so I have to try not to digress. But it's about who the leader is, and this is often mirrored in the actions that are taken and the accountability that is taken for those actions. Okay, so there's two things. Usually there's three things from the what, but I'm just going to look at these two things: the action of leading and the position of being a leader. And these are two things that we're going to focus on as we get to the how. How does one lead? How does one not define a leader? We've just done that. But how does one execute being a leader? There's a few points I've noted. The first one is being accountable, and it's something I just hinted at recently. When it comes to being a leader or in a leadership role, it's important that you are accountable. This word accountable is something that we looked at, I believe, in the letter A, of course, at the beginning of the career development series. And when it comes to leadership, it's important that you're accountable, that when things go right, you can take the credit if you want, but of course you need to extend that to those that have executed the plans and strategies. But also when things go wrong, as the leader, this is where one needs to step forward and as well as take the plaudits, take the rap, let's say. And often I think many people in various organisations or companies or positions will be able to give me numerous stories of so-called leaders who unfortunately are not accountable. And in my working experience, which is spanning, I would say, the best part of 40 years now, I can say of, I don't know how many jobs I've had, maybe the 8 or 9 jobs I've had, or different companies, I would say there's probably been a couple of people that there may be 2 or 3 people that I can really look at and say, this is a real leader. This is someone who is accountable. This is someone who stands up. This is someone that can hold their hands up and say, well, look, I don't really know what's going on here, but let's try and figure it out together. And this brings me on to the next point, and this is about being authentic. I saw there was an old CEO from the company that I work for who mentioned recently on LinkedIn that work is akin to private life, which I agree with 100%, because work is actually a part of life along with many other things. And you all know I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in life balance. But it's important as a leader that the leader is authentic. And when I say authentic, I mean they bring themselves to the table. And it's not to say that because you're a leader or in a leadership position that you have to have all the answers. The next point I've got, and I just mentioned that before, is to utilise the skills at hand. And when I say utilise the skills at hand, again, I think it's something that many people could point to where leaders or those in leadership positions feel that it's their job to do every job. And I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but this is nigh on impossible. And so what a lot of leaders need to do is to trust the people that they have working for them. And if you don't trust them, well, then you need to get new people. But essentially, leaders are nothing without the people who are executing their strategies and their plans and everything else. And this is vitally important. It's a question of trust at the end of the day. When you have a leader, if you trust that leader, then he's going to survive. And if not, they're not. And I think Keir Starmer is someone who is probably going to vouch for that. This is how it is. Leaders make mistakes. Leaders, are able to develop talent as well. So not just, about making mistakes, it's also about doing good things as well, making sure that people progress, making sure that you progress as well, making sure that your organisation or yourself progresses, if we look at the personal leadership aspect of it as well. And then I'm going to come on to the example. So the example I was thinking of as a very good leader is none other than a Mr. Gareth Southgate. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a polarising choice, but I think Gareth Southgate, when he was the England manager, he done an absolutely fantastic job. Not just as the manager, but also as a leader and as an organiser of men and people. And so, for example, those that follow football, this is by no means a football podcast, but I think football and sport is always a very good it's a very good analogy for life in general, because there's a lot of effort that goes into it. A lot of the times you fail and sometimes you succeed, and a lot of the time people take notice only of the times you succeed, and give you probably more stick for the times you don't. And this happens a lot in sport, no less than in football. But one thing that Gareth Southgate was credited with was that previously the England teams were always made up of players from, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, essentially, maybe a Tottenham player here or there, whatever, West Ham, various other teams. And there were always these cliques. I've heard Ian Wright and a few of the other players, former players, talk about this situation. But Gareth Southgate was somebody who is credited with breaking that down. Someone who can break down barriers and bring people together in a common cause, and to make them understand that actually, regardless of what your day-to-day allegiance is, here we are one. And this is something that I think he deserves a tremendous amount of credit for. So yes, on that note, I will summarise, because I think that's about it really in terms of leadership in this context anyway. So what did we look at? We looked at the what. And the what was the action. So this is leading a group of people or organisation, or of course oneself, as I mentioned as well. And then there's the state or the position of being a leader, which we've tried to make the distinction between. And it's very important that we make these distinctions. And then we went on to the how, which was, the leader having to be accountable. In the same way that us as leaders of ourselves, we have to be accountable for the actions that we take. Someone like Gareth Southgate has been accountable over his tenure as the England boss. And then we got on to, of course, being authentic as well. And this is making sure that, as a leader or in a leadership position, you try and be yourself. It's vital that you bring this self to whatever endeavour you're doing as a leader. And we looked at utilising the skills as well. We have to utilise the skills that we have at hand, be they our own skills or other people's skills. Make sure that we get the most out of those and they're used fairly. And then as the example, of course, Mr. Southgate. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I would like to thank you all for your time and attention. It's been very greatly appreciated. Remember, of course, like, subscribe, press the notification bell, leave a comment as well. Let me know what your version of leadership is and how you manage yourself as being a leader of your own course. Let me know what you think. I'm always happy to hear other alternatives. So yes, on that note, I will wind it up there. Look after yourselves and one another. I think it's going to be very warm next week, so let's all take care. And until the next time, peace. Your Coach Ben.